if we are going live. All right, it shows that we are live on my computer. Just checking in the group.
We are live. Does it show you how many people are signed on this thing or no? I've never
Yeah,
used
yeah.
Streamline.
Oh yeah, we are live. We are live. No, I can see on my side how many people are watching live though. I'm not too sure if you can see on your side.
Yeah, I can't see anything. I've never used this before, so this is all new for me.
Pretty slick software. I think it's much more convenient than Zoom. Anyway, all right, guys. So welcome. We are live in this affiliate marketing mastermind group. We have a special guest today, which is Dave Mintz. He is someone who's a really, really big name in the affiliate marketing industry as well in the email series. He did more than seven figures in his own product in one single product in digital product in the ClickBank offer. So Dave, tell us a bit about where you are, how did you come to this? Dave started with just only $2,000 to his name and look how far he has came. So Dave, just tell a bit about yourself.
Well, I actually started the offer. I had 2,000 to my name at that point, but it started way earlier than that, believe it or not. It started probably around 2000, 2001. I started getting interested in making money on the internet, probably like all of us, right? Like you start Googling like how to make money on the internet. Remember, this is like 2000, 2001 back then. Things were totally different. And I just got sucked into it. I started seeing people, they had these websites. And back then, we never called them sales funnels. We used to call them mini sites or sales letters. And I was really good at design, right? Because I'd gone to design school. And I said, okay, I can make websites for these people because they look like shit, the websites that they had. I mean, they were all like using Microsoft front page back then, and it was just really, really bad. And so that's how I got the itch. I found like this Warrior forum back then, and I found like all these different forums where different marketers were hanging out. And, I was doing websites, charging like $200 for a site. I mean, there was no money in it back then. Now it's like a different story. You can build funnels and make a lot of money, doing it. But I was, doing that and working around and not really making much money. At that time, I was, in my late 20s. I was living at my parents' house. I mean, just kind of fucking around, basically, And I remember one day I was going to Starbucks to work, and I got a phone call from this guy. And he said, my name is Armin Morin. And this guy was like one of the biggest internet marketing gurus at the time. And I was like, how the hell did this guy get my phone number, my mobile number? Like, what's going on here? I'm thinking somebody's playing a joke on me, right? And he's like, I need 13 websites done. And I was like, whoa, I'm like calculating the numbers in my head. So I give him all the information. I give him a really good price. And I give him my PayPal email, and I'm like waiting for him to pay. And I remember sitting in the Starbucks, like refreshing all afternoon, right? And nothing came in. For like 2 days, nothing came in. And I'm like, somebody I know is playing a prank on me. Like I'm going to kill whoever this is. Like one of my friends is doing this, and like they're in deep shit. And then the money came in.
Oh,
and I was like, oh God, this is real. And from there, we just became really good friends in that sense. He would call me all the time at these weird hours of the night, and asking me how to, can you do this? Can you do that? And then towards the end of 2004, he invited me to his seminar. And it was in Los Angeles. And I was like, at this point, it was like shit or get off the pot. Either like I'm going to make something at this point, or I've got to go get a job. Okay. Because like I'm not making any money. I don't see this going anywhere. So I go to this seminar. There's like 400 or 500 people in this room. I mean, it was mind boggling. I've never seen anything like this before. And I remember I went to Vistaprint. They have those free, like the free business card deal, or back then they had like $5 or $10 for like 500 business cards. So I had no money. I did that. I had my little stack of business cards, my little box. I was carrying it with me in my backpack. And I was sitting in the back of the room, and towards the end of the event, all the lights are off. And then he says, how many people here need a website? And like everybody raises their hand. Or this is 2004, no ClickFunnels yet or anything like that. And everybody raised their hand. And all of a sudden, a spotlight beams on me from the front. I'm in the back of the room standing up, and the spotlight is like shining on me like right now. And he's like, see that guy back there? That's the only guy I've ever trusted to do my websites. You should talk to him. And I swear to you, it was like a tsunami of people. People were jumping over the chairs, running at me. like in 1 second, I was like, what the fuck is this? You know? And I F-bomb a lot. So Gary Vee will be proud. So yeah, I remember this. I was handing out my business card like crazy. I got rid of 500 business cards within like 30 minutes. It was nuts. And at that time I said, you know, there's gotta be something to this internet marketing stuff. You know, like this is crazy. This is like nothing I've ever seen in my life. So I was really good at online dating at the time, right? I was in my mid 20s at that time, spending a lot of time on the computer. I got really, really good. I was going out like every night on a different date. Like I never saw my friends, you know, because they were like, what are you doing all of a sudden? So I started teaching my friends what I was doing. They started getting results, and then they started teaching their friends. Their friends started contacting me, and like all these random, like, hey, I'm friends with Josh, who's friends with Bill. He told me you can like teach me this stuff. So I said, okay, I got to make a product about this. So this was 2005. I'm working on a Mac. There is no screen capture software for a Mac. I have to find one of my friends who has a PC so that I can record all these videos. So I find one of my buddies has a PC. He's out partying all weekend. It took me 2 days. I recorded like 50 videos, put it on a CD, and then didn't really, let me backtrack a little bit because I'm kind of, you know, missing a little step here. So I have a friend of mine that I met in one of these forums, and it turned out he was working for this guy selling dating products at the time. They were doing like $20 million a year. They were like the biggest player in that space. And when I was doing this online dating stuff, my friend said, hey, I told him, you know, what you were doing, and he wants to interview you for his interview series. So I was like, you know, of course. So we do the interview, and they tell me they're gonna put out the interview in like 2 or 3 months. Okay. And they'll let me know, they'll give me a heads up. And of course that never happened, right? Like 2 weeks go by. It's like Saturday morning. I wake up like hungover because I'd gone out really late the night before, and I'm hitting my email, and I see like 500 emails coming in. Like it was just like, and every email says basically the same thing. I went to your site. Well, I heard the interview. I went to your site, and there's nothing there. And I was like, okay, start emailing them back. Like, what website did you go to? What interview? Because I'm not expecting this for like 2 or 3 more months, right? This is 2 weeks.
Right.
So they told me with the interview, and I was like, oh shit. So I put up a squeeze page, an opt-in page. That's what we used to call them back then. I put up a squeeze page back then to collect opt-ins. And so I was collecting opt-ins, and I knew that I had to like do something, right? Because if I just collected emails and never did anything, like they're going to die. Okay. At that time, I remember this like it was yesterday. I had $2,000 in my bank account. I was living upstairs in a bedroom at my parents' house. And this was like the end of the road for me. Like it was either shit or get off the pot at this point, right? And you know, Russell always says you're one funnel away. And people think it's like a catchphrase, or it's just like, you know, bullshit, but it's really, really true. You really can be just one funnel away. And so it was like succeed or get a job, right? And I had this list, and I had nothing, right? I had no affiliates. I had no upsells, no back end. I wrote a horrible sales letter myself because I had no clue what I was doing, and I couldn't afford a sales, a copywriter. And I had nothing else to sell them afterwards because, like an idiot, I put every single thing I knew into that one product because I didn't know any better. I didn't know about creating, a whole funnel and upsells. You know, there was nothing called upsells back then. We didn't even know about that stuff back then. So I did this interview, and I think this is when I really learned the first secret that I'll share with you guys is how to create a buying frenzy and get people lining up to pay you without using any high pressure sales tactics, even if you have a tiny list and even if you hate writing copy. Okay. So that's the first secret that I really learned. So I did this interview. It went viral. I had an email list that was growing, but I didn't have anything to sell them yet at that point. And I knew I needed to stall them. Okay. I needed to figure out something to give me some time to figure out what to do. So I was like, okay, what do I do? So I said, I'm going to start sending them emails. So I started writing some emails, and I didn't put any pitch at the end of the email. I would just give like little tips. and the emails were horrible. I mean, I look at them now and I thought they were great at the time, but they were horrible. So what happened was my email copy was really bad, but I was sending out these tips with no pitch. And what this was doing was really building a lot of goodwill with my audience, right? And it was really getting them crazy for what I had, or what they wanted, what they thought I had. And do you remember the movie Dazed and Confused?
No, I didn't watch it.
Classic movie. If you haven't watched it, you got to watch it. And so it's about these young kids going into high school, right? And how their lives change, basically. And so there's this older kid. He's the quarterback of the football team. He's like the popular kid. And this young kid, he kind of like mentors this young kid that's coming in. He takes him under his wing, and he takes him to like all the cool parties and stuff like that. That's how you really want to be. You want to be that cool friend, showing the new guy around and inviting them places. And so that goodwill is so important, like early on, because people are very skeptical, right? And what most people are doing is they're just selling people. They take like a baseball bat and they're like pounding them over the head. Buy my shit, buy my shit, buy my shit. And it really sucks. And you burn out your list very fast, and it just never goes anywhere. So the key is really just building that goodwill right off the bat. Okay. And what happens is, it attracts people to you, right? Just like dating, you want to attract the right partner to you instead of chasing them. And so I was doing that, and really there's no point of building a list and building trust if you can't sell anything, right? So I was giving them value first without asking for anything, and it attracts them to me. And it gets people really wanting to read your emails when they know that you're not going to like pound them over the head to buy something every day. It gets them opening your emails. Okay. And the emails weren't anything fancy. They were just like these long emails I was giving value and articles and stuff like that. And really what happened was it changed the whole dynamic, right? Like instead of people like me trying to sell people something, I had people on my list emailing me every day like, what do you have that I could buy? Can I buy whatever you have? I was getting every single day. I was getting these kind of emails, right? And so my list was going berserk at that point. And they were emailing me, is there anything I could buy? So at that time, I knew, okay, I found my friend who had a PC. He's out partying. I spend the whole weekend making the program. Now, when I launched the product, I had a list of 1,788 people, right? They always say you never forget the first time. And I never forgot the first time, right? I always remember that number, 1788, the day I launched. We ended up selling about 395 copies of the CD or DVD, and it was $97 a pop. So you can imagine that's like what, about $40,000 the first day. Wow. So I remember this day like it was like it was yesterday, right? I was living upstairs from my parents. And I had like $2,000 to my name. I run downstairs. I hit like 5,000 for the day at that point. And I run downstairs and I'm like, Dad, I just made like $5,000. And my dad was like in another world. He was sleeping. He was like not paying. He was like, yeah, whatever. Like in one ear, out the other ear, right? Run back upstairs. I'm just refreshing. I come back downstairs. Dad, I'm at like 9,000 for the day. Nothing. Doesn't like blink or anything like that. Come back downstairs. Dad, I'm at 15,500. He started like, huh? Went back upstairs. Dad, I'm at $25,000. My dad looked at me and he's like, are you selling drugs or something? What are you doing? And I'm like, did you not hear me explain this all to you for the last like 2 weeks? Like, was I like talking to the wall or something, So it was kind of funny. And then the list kept growing by several hundred a day at this point, all on autopilot. And it was all free traffic that I was getting from this interview that I did, right? Because the guy that I did the interview with had such a big audience. And we ended up selling, I think it was like 1,100 copies the first month at $97 a pop. The list ended up growing to, I think it was like 125 or 126,000 at the peak. And I was selling copies all day, right? Every single day, with all this free traffic. And despite doing everything wrong, I had so many mistakes I was doing. It was crazy. And the reason that I was able to sell so much is just because of one particular thing. I was giving value to my list and trying to help them first. And if you do that, you build up a lot of goodwill. And that goodwill creates a buying frenzy for your products or services. Okay. And it doesn't matter if you're selling affiliate stuff or info products or an agency, or it doesn't matter what you're selling. It's the same concept, right? And this is the opposite of what most people are doing. They write these like 84-page emails. They pitch like every email, like every day. It's like the newest, the greatest thing that you need for your business or for your life, right? And that builds no trust. It makes you seem desperate, okay? And it really, it's kind of like, I go back to the dating example because obviously, you know, that's what I used to do for so many years. It's like attracting a partner versus like overselling and chasing, right? And you know, even if you're a man or a woman, you can relate to that concept. So the goodwill that you build up in the beginning will make it much easier to sell later on. And the whole dynamic changes when people are coming to you versus when you're chasing them. Okay. But the key is you have to make the emails about them, right? It's all about what's in it for me. You have to make the emails all about them. It's all about giving value to them and helping them.
Wow. This is such a value bomb, Dave. Because I always preach that always be giving value first. And you know, like the amount, your income is directly proportional to the amount of value that you deliver to the marketplace. But I never really thought that in the aspect of the email. Like I know people do emails, but the thing is, like, I always been taught from a school of mindset that, you know, emails is like all day, 2 days out, 2 emails out a day, and both emails are the same, and it's all sell. So I guess
there's people that do that. I have friends that do that, and they do extremely well. You know, and there's no, you know, there's a saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know, there's another saying, like there's more than one flavor of ice cream. Right. And there's more than one way to do it. What I found, this is what worked for me, and this is what's worked for a long time. This is how I was able to sell 3.1 million of one product over 11 years, just working like a couple hours a day. You know, and it's, for me, it was about longevity. And if you do those 2 emails a day and you're hitting that list hard, you really have to make sure that you're buying a lot of traffic and you're filling back that list up considerably, because you're going to lose a lot of people doing that. Okay. So you have to keep that in mind. You know, and what I noticed was, like, the more I made the emails about them, the more I would get people asking me if they could buy something. Right. And it's so much different when people are emailing you asking if they can buy something versus you trying to sell them, you know, something, which was great for me because I sucked at writing. I was horrible. I think I failed English, you know, in college. I had to take it over again. I mean, I was horrible in college and school and everything. You know, at this point, I was on top of the world, right? I just made like $100,000 in the first month. I had 2,000 in my name. I knew at that point my life was totally going to be different. Like I had this like weird superpower, I felt like, you know, and then disaster struck. My dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer a month after I launched. And I decided to basically say, fuck the business. I couldn't care less. And I decided to spend as much time with him as possible. And so that was my plan. But at that point, things really got crazy because the business was going nuts. I was in Vanity Fair magazine, in the Wall Street Journal. I was interviewed in Playboy, which was really cool. You know, everybody wanted to interview me because of what I was doing with this online dating and with these emails, right? I mean, it was crazy. The numbers that I was able to pull, you know, with online dating. I mean, thousands and thousands of messages every year. And so obviously I was focused on my dad. I did these interviews, the business was going, you know, I was doing my daily email, but, you know, I was much more focused on my dad, which, you know, obviously was like the most important person in my life. And then after my dad passed, which was 2 years later, so I was running this business for 2 years, you know, just doing emails. And when he passed, it was the summer of 2007. And I realized that I had to take things more seriously, right? Like I had my mom and my sister to take care of now. I knew like all the responsibilities on me now. And, you know, it kind of freaked me out because 2 years ago I had $2,000 to my name. And now just like this, you're one funnel away. And, you know, here's a couple $100,000 a year. And that's when I discovered secret number 2 that I'll share with you. And I discovered this by accident. And it's the 5-part machine that automatically positions you as an authority, builds massive goodwill for you while selling like crazy. Okay. And at this point, in 2007, like going into 2008, the email automation tools really changed, right? And so they became a lot more advanced with the things that you could do, and you could do a lot more crazy different sequences, and just there was just a lot more. Back in the day, it was just, day 1 send this email, skip a day 3 send this email, day 5 send this email. That was all you could do. Now you could do anything. Like, it's crazy. So I was surfing the internet one day, and like we all do, I'm like an internet nerd, and I was surfing the internet one day, and I remember seeing these native ads. Have you ever seen those ads like underneath the blog posts, like those little square ads? And I started seeing this one ad all the time. Like, every single page I was going to, I kept seeing the same ad, and it was it was for a financial company, right? I wasn't even interested in financial stuff, but I kept seeing this ad. I was like, okay, these guys have to be onto something. So I clicked it, I opted in, and they started sending me emails. And it was really, really cool to see. And I noticed, I did some research, I found out that they were doing $22 million a year. Okay. Wow. And they had some of the best and most expensive copywriters in the industry working for them. So I said, okay, these guys know what's up. Let me study these guys and see what I can model from them. And what happened was, they would email me, and it was almost like they knew that I clicked to the sales page. Right? It was like so weird to me, because I'd never seen anything like this before. Like, I went to the sales page, and like 30 minutes later, I got an email, and it was like, hey, we noticed that you went to the sales page and you didn't buy.
Precision, like so precise, exactly on what you're doing. Like, they're watching.
Exactly. I thought in the beginning, like, they inserted like some adware or spyware on my Mac. Like, what the fuck is this shit? So I started, reverse engineering what they were doing. And once I figured that out, I started adding that into what I was doing in my own little way, and it worked like crazy. And it was basically like, I already had the fire built from the beginning by giving goodwill to the audience and, sending them good emails and not really selling too hard. And then this was like putting gasoline on it, right? And
the fuel.
Yeah, and I know you'll give away the funnel map that shows all this in more detail at the end of the call. So, if you're watching right now, stay to the end, and Josh will give you my 7-figure funnel map, and you'll see all this stuff. So there's 5 parts to it. I'll run you through the 5 parts. If you have any questions, obviously I'm more than happy to answer. So the first one is, you have to create desire. Right? So you have to get somebody desiring what you're selling. In any case, whatever it is, whether it's an affiliate product, an info product, a physical product, an agency, a service, you have to create desire. Now, once you create desire, step 2 is you have to intensify that desire. Okay? Because some people maybe don't want what you're selling bad enough. And if they don't, then you really have to make them want it more. Okay? Step 3 is a cart recovery, which most people know as abandoned cart. Okay. And, this is really important if you're doing like a 2-step order sequence. You have to, a lot of, if you notice, on Russell's book funnels, they use a 2-step order sequence. You have to use a cart abandon sequence on that. Step 4 is you have to amplify somebody's desire once they buy from you. Okay. And then step 5 is you have to win back their attention if they stop engaging. So if somebody's not opening your emails for a few months, or not visiting your website, then you have to use step 5 and win back their attention. And so the desire campaign is designed to get somebody wanting what you're offering. And the old way to do it is to send nonstop pitches every day, once or twice a day, to buy your stuff. The new way is to send content that positions you as an authority while providing massive goodwill. Okay. The intensification campaign is really stacking bonuses and making the offer so valuable to that person, and creating such an intense desire for what you have that they have no choice but to say yes. Okay. So the best example I can give you is, what's your favorite food, Josh?
Me? Fish and chips. Let's take it that.
Let's say fish and chips, right? But let's say, I have an offer for fish and chips for $10. Maybe you don't really want it that bad, but what if I told you for $10, I'll also give you the fish and chips. I'll give you a filet mignon. I'll double size the fish and chips for you. I'll throw in two free desserts and a free soda. Would that make the offer more valuable?
Yeah, sure. It's
Right?
like a no brainer.
There you go. And that's what the intensification campaign does, is it really turns a good offer into a no-brainer offer. You're intensifying that desire. You're turning up the heat. And so the cart recovery, very simple to understand. You're following up with somebody that that went to order that just didn't complete the order. Step number 4 is amplifying the desire. Okay, and the old way is, once somebody buys your stuff, you start pitching them a whole bunch of shit, right? Like once they're a customer, just start selling them everything, the kitchen sink. The new way to do it is to build a relationship with them first, over deliver value. Okay, over deliver value to them, and then they're going to buy everything you have afterwards. Okay, and so in the funnel map, you'll see exactly how this whole thing works. And then, once I had this machine built, it really started amplifying the sales, because I didn't have to worry about, just sending emails every day. I can send emails only to the new people, and then just put people into this, this sequence, this automated sequence. Once they're done with that, I can move them into the daily emails. Okay. And that changed everything at that point. The game was so much easier when I had all this automation stuff running, and it really, really plugged any holes that I had in the funnel. Okay. Because I knew when someone came in, they're going to start getting emails automatically, whether I was there or not, on vacation or not. And so it really, really worked good. And so I was running the offer for a few years at this point. It was going really well. My list was getting pretty big. But the thing is, there was a lot more competition coming into the market, right? Like dating became really big. My friend Neil Strauss came out with a book called The Game. My other friend Mystery had this TV show, The Pickup Artist. Like, it was becoming mainstream at this point. And there was a lot more competition coming into the market. And in fact, some of the people that were coming into the market were even copying my product. They were buying it, copying it. And then even they were copying the sales letter and graphics, like word for word. It was crazy. And I knew that I could lose somebody's attention at any moment. And so that's when I discovered, like, the third secret is how to keep your list alive for years, keep your open rates sky high, and make sure that your emails constantly reach the inbox. And, people always think that this is about like some technical trick or some like hack or, like some technique or something like that. And, those things will help you here and there. But they're not going to fix poor habits. So you got to keep that in mind. They're like a Band-Aid temporarily. And in a few months, you'll end up back in the same situation. So, these email programs like Yahoo and Gmail and all these different, these different systems, they're getting a lot more sophisticated and filtering spam and unwanted messages. So becoming good at email, whether you're an affiliate marketer, whether you're, info products, courses, whatever you're selling, it really doesn't matter. But if you want to get good at email and actually get good at marketing, you have to it comes down to one thing: human psychology. Being good at human psychology. And so I had this big list. I was emailing every single day, but I was super nervous, right? Because I had built up this business. I was nervous that I could lose it all, right? With all this competition, people stealing my stuff. So I started testing a lot of different things at this point, right? Like, I knew I had to try a lot of different things. And I started noticing a few different patterns, okay? The first thing I noticed was people get bored very easily, right? They get bored seeing the same emails over and over and over.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how good of a copywriter you are, how good of a marketer you are, how much people love you or your audience loves you, how great your engagement is. Over time, people get bored, and it's just human nature. I mean, think about TV shows that you watch, for example. Here's a perfect example. I've been watching Netflix a lot with this quarantine, right? Like, I'm sure we all have. I started watching this new series. It's called Iron Fist. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like a Marvel. Yeah, it's like a Marvel series. And I was like, this is so awesome. Okay, it's 2 seasons. And the first season is on like episode 12 already. It's like dragging on. Like by number 8, I was already like, ugh, I'm getting bored of this. Like I'm kind of getting bored already. And it's just human nature. So if people see the same kind of emails that you're sending over and over and over and over, they catch wind to it. They know what's coming. It's like there was this one show on one of the channels. It was called Finding Bigfoot. Okay, and it was like, the whole show was about them thinking that they're going to find Bigfoot. Okay, and it started off the same exact way every single time. Right? They watch some crazy video. They drive out to the area. They interview people. They go out at night. They don't find anything, and the show is over. Right? So the show should be really called Not Finding Bigfoot, because they're never finding, Bigfoot. And after a while, once you realize what the show is about, it's like, I'm done with this shit. Right? Like, don't bother me with. I'm annoyed already. And that's how people are hardwired. The second thing I noticed is that people respond differently. Okay. We've always heard like people are auditory, kinesthetic, or visual. You probably heard of that.
VAK.
Like feel. Right. What I found is it's a little bit more, there's more to it than that, especially with email, is there's different types of people, right? Based on your list. There's people that are hyper clickers, what I call hyper clickers. They'll click every email you send. Right? Those are your biggest fans. Like, they don't need a lot of information to buy. Okay. You'll just send them an email and they'll click it. And most of the time they'll buy. Now there's other people that there's no way in hell they're going to buy right away. Right? They need more facts. They need more information. Okay. That's the only thing that's going to make them buy, is like facts, statistics, information, logical stuff. There's other people that they don't care about that logical stuff. Like, it's like Greek to them. The only thing they care about is seeing a good story or a good testimonial. And when they see that, they'll buy. And then there's other people that they don't care about any of that shit. None of that shit is going to work. It doesn't matter if you have the greatest copywriter in the world writing all those emails. That will never get them to buy. The only thing that'll get them to buy is scarcity and urgency. Right? Like, there's only 5 minutes left. There's only 1 unit left. There was a countdown timer in the email. That's the only thing that gets them to buy. And if you have an email list and you run promotions, whether it's an affiliate stuff or not, that on the last day, usually you'll send like double the emails, because you're trying to hit that urgency, and you'll get a lot of sales on that last day. Right? So there's a lot of people on the list. And so what happens is, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, people just tune you out. And so you have to use different types of emails and different modalities to keep your audience on their toes. And if they're not sure about what's coming next, they're uncertain. And that uncertainty makes them curious about wanting to know what's in that email. And that gets them to open, and eventually, they'll end up buying.
Right. It's like the TV series Lost. They always hook you at the freaking end and they leave you in a cliffhanger. So if you do that with your emails,
they leave you on a cliffhanger, right? But if you use that cliffhanger all the time, it's only going to work to a certain percentage of your list. Some people on your list, they don't care about that shit, right? Like, they just care about if they see a good story, they'll buy. If you tell the right story to them, it makes sense. They see a good testimonial, they identify with it, boom. Some people, they're never going to buy from that, right? They need facts, they need statistics, they need data to buy. And so
right.
If you keep doing the same emails all the time, and I was guilty of this in the beginning, I just didn't know any better. If you keep doing that all the time, then you're missing a huge segment, a huge chunk of your list, right? You're only going to get sales from that small percentage of your list, and people want to read your emails at that point. And your emails end up staying in the inbox because people actually want to read it, and they actually click and open. And so I want you to consider this. There's a huge difference between people wanting to get your emails, opening them, saving them, versus people never opening them and you trying to hack your way to get your emails to reach the inbox. Huge difference.
Wow. That just blew my mind and gave me a different perspective on emails. Trying to find a small hack and a small trick to get people to open your emails by putting emojis, versus making them want to actually open your email, even though how Frank Kern sometimes you work with Frank Kern really well. It's Frank Kern's emails are really, really short, simple and sweet, but people want to open them.
Yep. And the reason why is he's a master of creating goodwill, just like I explained to you in the first secret, when you create that goodwill, it makes it so much easier to sell. Now, I learned from Frank directly. I worked with him in Mass Control, and I was in his mastermind for like a year or 2 years. So, I learned from him directly. A lot of the stuff I can say, initially came from him, and I put my own, spins on it from applying it. So, so keep that in mind. Now, I went on to sell about 27,000 copies of that dating product, which is pretty awesome. It was over 11 years. Very little stress. I was working maybe an hour or two a day, and it was just using that whole process. And now, I have an email agency. We work with e-commerce brands, like ClickFunnels. Russell is one of my clients. And we're helping them take all the stuff that I'm teaching you here and actually applying it. So yeah. So that's kind of the story. And I think those are like the 3 lessons that I really learned along the way.
Wow, so much value bombs here, Dave. I didn't even expect that you're going to share all these insider secrets. Like literally, guys, like, just with secret number 1, building massive goodwill with people will bring you a really, really long way, because, like people are always, in for the quick win, spamming. Like I gotta admit, right, I was spamming links as well when I first got started online. But, it's all about how can you give value and help someone by actually helping them.
Yep.
And this is the one lesson which I learned from Frank as well. The oldest trick in the book, he says, it helps someone by actually helping them out.
Help them by helping them. And you do that, you'll make lifelong customers.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much, Dave. So, any like final words or final tips, specifically for people, let's say if they are just starting out, they have no brand, they have no list, nobody knows them at all. Like if you were to start all over again, what would be the first few things that you actually do to actually build yourself up? Let's say if you know nobody at all.
Well, I actually had to do that. The dating offer, it ran its course, and that's something that I had a hard time understanding that. I kept thinking like it was me failing, right? But in reality, the market changed. The audience changed. Sometimes things have a cycle, right? Like it is what it is. It's not going to last forever. And, I had to really figure out how to rebrand myself, coming from a very small little market, a weird little market, pickup artist and dating, and then going into the business world. And so nobody knew who I was, really. Only people that knew that industry. So if I can share one thing, it's really pick one direction and focus on that and have blinders. Right? Like if you go on my Facebook, all you see is email. I don't put anything else. You'll never see me talk about paid Facebook ads. You'll never see me talk about affiliate marketing or any of that stuff. It's just all email. You want to get known for one specific thing, right? And you really have to find what you're passionate about, what you enjoy doing, what you're good at doing. I was good at a few things. I was good at designing websites. I was good at split testing, and I was good at writing emails. Those were the only 3 things I was good at. Right? I sucked at everything else. I couldn't write a sales letter for my life, but I could write emails because they were really short and kind of conversational. And I was used to writing dating emails, on Match.com and Plenty of Fish and those sites. So the design, I was good, but I knew there was no money in that. And the split testing, I kind of didn't think there was a future in that. And I knew that my thing was email. And so that was the one thing I knew I could add value. So the biggest thing is pick one thing and just put your head down, go in the laboratory and just get to work and just become good at one thing, right? And maybe you can't do that. Maybe you have to run a lot of, your business, and you have to do a lot. Sometimes you have to wear a lot of different hats, right? Like in the beginning, I was designing the website. I was writing everything. I was the programmer, the coder. I did everything. I was customer support. And you have to do those things in the beginning, right? Because you don't have the budget to. And not only that, I think it really helps you later on, because you can't really hire somebody to do something if you don't know what the fuck you're doing yourself. I mean, and I've done this before. I've wasted a lot of money, so don't make that same mistake. So yeah, it's really like you have to know what you need to know in order to hire it out in the first place. So it comes down to 2 things: traffic and conversions. You need to become good at getting traffic, and you have to be good at making sales, right? And the sales part comes down to psychology, human psychology, and the stuff that we talked about. And with traffic, right now we're in the golden age, right? Like people don't realize how good this is right now. This is the golden age for internet marketing. Facebook ads make it so easy. In the dating space, I think one of the reasons why it died is because we couldn't use Facebook ads. It was like a banned audience. We couldn't do that. We couldn't do Google ads or anything like that. So make sure you're able to get good at Facebook ads and conversion and selling. And if you can do those two things, sky's the limit.
Wow. Thanks a lot, Dave. I really appreciate you for taking the time.
It looks like I'm like tilted. It's so weird, right? Like the camera's like opposite.
Yeah, my side too.
So,
all right, cool.
Pleasure,
cool. Thank you a lot, Dave. So for guys, if you're still watching live now, if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, if you want the entire, the entire thing that Dave just talked, right? The entire 7-figure funnel map, help me drop a hashtag below, funnel map, and I'll make sure I'll get the funnel map into your hands, and you know exactly how did Dave build up his 7-figure business. All he talked about, how does he create the desire, how does he create the intensify sequence, the abandon cart, the amplify, and how to win back their attention, right? So all the entire sequence will be within the funnel map, and I'll get it into your hands.
You guys want it. If you've seen Russell Brunson's books and you've seen the sketches and stuff like that, it's exactly like that. It's super simple to understand, and it's pretty awesome. I gotta print it out and put it on my wall somewhere.
Yeah, bro, you probably should sell that one piece of copy, like how Russell does it. Sell one piece of copy. Yeah. So like something like this, guys. So like a funnel. I'm not sure you can see something like that, but I saw the funnel map. It's really, really in depth.
Gigantic, full
blown funnel map on exactly. If you implement this funnel map, I think there's no reason why they can't hit 7 figures if they know exactly what to do in this specific series. 100%. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Dave, for spending we were about 42 minutes here. Wow, so much value bomb. So any other final words, before we end this live training? That's it, man. Just take action. Just go for it. Now is the time. We're in the golden age of marketing. You have every opportunity now, even though we have this crazy coronavirus bullshit. We have every opportunity now to make a lot of money and to do a lot of good things. So now's the time. Take advantage of it. Now's the time. Now's the time, guys. Double down on this, and now's the time to go all in again. Again, I appreciate you all guys for watching live. If you're watching live, I appreciate it. If you're watching replay, I appreciate it again. And thank you so much, Dave, for spending almost 45 minutes here, dropping so much value bombs, and just sharing so openly with the audience. Thank you so much, Dave. And my pleasure. Bye, guys. Bye, guys.